Hi, it's me, Jacqueline. Welcome to my channel. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and join me at Patreon. Link in the description. Tired and lonely. That's how young Bobby has felt ever since he moved into his new apartment with 4 friends. He's felt like that for a long time, but leaving the comfort of his family home and moving over 200 miles away doubly impacted his misery. Bobby had been attending college in the small upstate New York town for 4 years, living in dorms. As his final semester approached, it seemed to be only a short hop to his degree. But it wasn't so easy. Paperwork stumbles happened at first. When the work went over his head and the burdens were too hard, Bobby curled up into his own little fantasy world. In that world, he wasn't born male. He didn't complete his final semester. Bobby has had a difficult relationship with women from very early days. Never an attractive physical person, he had to overcome that with a massive personality to match his large girth. This turned off many people and began to isolate the young Bobby. By college, Bobby had a cadre of friends that he often helped, but he kept a far emotional distance. This was how he was with his roommates. It was during this time of emotional distance where he found and developed his feelings of being born wrong and met other people via the computer who felt similarly. He role-played often, usually in the guise of a female character. Usually, people were surprised to find the young woman, who was usually very plain, was a male. It was during this dark time, after not completing his final semester of school, that young Bobby, merely 22, found an odd room. It was devoted to TG fiction, which he was naturally fond of. Entering the room, however, he found it was anything but a mere discussion chat. The characters were vivid and lively. Some were young girls. Some were older. Some mothers had adopted the young girls as daughters. They formed tight-knit families, full of aunts and cousins. Some people were male, of varying ages. Bobby, using the handle Saintly, was introduced to some of the channel's more bright inhabitants. The kindly mother of a large family, Shelley, and her sister Jenna were a few of the first. But the one to make the biggest impact was Shelley's energetic daughter, Maggie. "Hi, Saints." She spoke to him in a little girl's lips. "Youth has been really nice here." By this time, Saintly had been visiting for about a week, interacting with grace and tact, but not feeling entirely comfortable. He felt like something else was going on. Something bigger than just a chat room. He thanked the adorable youngster. He knew it was better not to ask about the outside world. He entered the chat room and presented himself as male. Usually TG roleplay rooms had you somehow shift into character, usually using one of those bad plot devices that CDStories often rely on. Saintly did ask about that a few days later, but was rebuffed with a firm reply from Kathleen, Jenna's young daughter. "We don't do that. We're real here. Just be what you want to be." This set Bobby's mind reeling. Ever since talking with young Maggie and watching the young girls at play, he had seen something he wanted and lacked. "All right," he said, his fingers trembling as the words flowed. "What if I wanted to be little?" At this point, Shelley and Saintly had a discussion. Saintly saw the fun play, the light heart, and it made him smile. He wanted to be like her daughter, he said. What happened next was strange. Bobby felt very overcome by sleep. After giving his parting greeting to the channel and Shelley, he laid down on the bed. His sleep was odd, cloudy and restless. All the bad things in his life, rejection, failure, and hurt were going by in reverse. He was falling backwards into his life until the age of 5. When the falling seemed too fast, Saintly had woken up with a start. The room was very dark. He was taking deep breaths. That's when he first noticed that he felt fabric on his shoulders, despite having gone to bed without a shirt. "Wah." Then his voice. He covered his mouth. But it was odd, high and off. The door swung open. The light from it was very bright. Saintly had covered up his eyes. At the door was the figure of a woman whom Saintly couldn't make out. "Who's there?" The odd voice that now belonged to Saintly squeaked out. It's okay, sweetie." The voice cooed softly. "Yes, it's all right," another voice chimed in. The lisp was familiar. "Maggie? Shelley?" They flipped on a light. Saintly had his eyes fixed on them. He was scared, naturally. "What's going on?" "It's okay, Saintly. Look." Shelley said, in her soft, motherly voice. Slowly, Saintly's eyes adjusted. That's when the shock settled in. His face had short red hair. His hair was brown. Looking down, he was in a yellow nightgown. A small one. He looked down. His fingers were stubby and soft. He put it all together. He's a girl. A 5-year-old girl. And with that realization came the scream of all screams. Saintly, calm down. Shelley chided softly. I'm a little girl. How? Where am I? She blurted out while beginning to sob. She wrapped the new little girl in a warm hug. Saintly, it's okay, sweetheart. You're okay? Yeah. Calm down. I have all your answers. Her new hazel eyes glared up. You said you wanted to be 5 and a girl. You see, not long ago, young Maggie, who gave an enthusiastic wave, found a magic coin. At the time, she was a traffic officer and extremely unhappy. She wished that Jenna and I were given magic powers. In that, we created this packet of reality. It's our home. We invited you in. Mama, can't I tell Saintly about the next parts? Little Maggie had chimed in. Of course, little one. Wells, you see, Mama, you said her magicals, and now's your whittle, and yous are here with us, and is can't wait 'cause you're not just whittle, but you's my twin. Saintly raised an eyebrow. Twin. She didn't look much like the girl. Fraternal twin. Shelley noted. She nodded. And in that, you have sisters, brothers, aunties, cousins. Her voice curdled up for just a few moments. And a mother. Mother. The tears that had stopped as they explained flowed again. Yes, sweet darling. Saintly wrapped her tiny arms around her. Saintly's. Maggie sputtered out. Saintly finally threw off the covers and saw her new size, not even 3 foot tall. She turned and slid off the bed into a pair of slippers, like he always had. The room was a pretty place, outfitted for girls, with 2 little vanities, 2 dressers, and a big closet, as well as a big double bed. He walked to her new sister. They were exactly the same height and had very similar shapes, despite different eye and hair color. Saintly wrapped her arms around her. Slowly her mind filled with all kinds of thoughts, knowledge her mother had given her on her new life. We'll have all kinds of fun, won't we, Maggie? Das right, toddler twin. She giggled. Maggie had a special love for making alliteration, and toddler twin was going to be her new favorite. It's morning, Saintly. Shelley beamed down to the 2 little girls. Get changed into some clean clothes and come down for breakfast. Then we'll talk some. Saintly nodded affirmative and gave a bright, yes, Mama. 10 minutes later, Saintly scampered down the stairs of the lovely house with her sister. Wearing a pretty tan skirt, white leggings, and a blouse, she looked like she was ready to go to school. Mama. Saintly was carrying a stuffed animal, one that resembled a Welsh corgi dog. Ein came with me. Ein was a character on one of Bobby's favorite TV shows, and the plushie was a special gift from a friend. I guess it means a lot. So now he's your own little friend. Maggie has several of them too. Maybe after we settle in, we might be able to go shopping and get you some new clothes and maybe a doll too. Yeah. Maggie joined them a few moments later, and they sat down to a breakfast. Through the day, many people came and went. Apparently, when some people in the chat room joined, they actually were coming to the house magically. Jenna, Kathleen, Maggie, and Shelley lived in the house, where they were forever in a constant path of greeting people. With a very heavy heart, Bobby decided he couldn't live in the house all the time yet. The real world, as cold as it was real to him, and he felt as he needed it. So, with her power, Shelley made it so when she logged onto the chat, he would be transported to the room. She also made it so any real-life intrusion would only see Bobby chatting. At first, Saintly had a hard time. Her mind was not a little girl's, rather a role player's. She had trouble adjusting. Her family was gentle with her, and as time went, she felt more connected to her new existence. She stopped role-playing and began being. And that's when the fun began. Once she threw off shackles of acting and simply was, little Saintly became like what she wanted, a little girl. One night, while cleaning up from a family meal, little Saintly tugged on her mama's leg. Mama? She asked with her gentle, little tone. Yes, sweetie. Mama, I don't have a name. Maggie is Maggie, but I'm some name the boy me figured out. Well, I guess we never really gave you a name of your own, have we? The happy mother noted, putting some plates away and picking her little daughter up. Let's go sit down and have our after-dinner cocoa and discuss this little problem, okay? Yeah. So the family gathered around their big pink couch. Lots of names were discussed. Some were Hebrew because Shelley was Jewish. Some were American. Some were French because Little Saintly was originally from Quebec. Mama, I likes Maggie's name, Little Saintly said eventually. Well, I can't call you both Maggie. No, Mama, her other name, Baruka. It was a pet name that Maggie was given. It means blessed in Hebrew, and it became Maggie's middle name. Maggie, would you share the name with your sister? She asked knowingly. Maggie smiled brightly. Oh yeah, Mama, I want my toddler twin to be happy and she can use the name too. That's very nice of you, Maggie. Shelley beamed with pride for her little girls. Then it's settled. I have an idea for a middle name too. From now on, you can be Baruka Miriam Johnson when you're with your family. Is that okay? Baruka Miriam Johnson is the prettiest name in the world. I loves it, Mama. Yes, it's great. The family embraced warmly, and for the first time, little Baruka felt part of something better and bigger. Unfortunately, away from the little fold in reality, life didn't get much better. A group of friends betrayed him. Bills piled up. Bobby felt like people were mean. More and more, the simple joys of being a little girl seemed nicer. A month or so after the first time she entered the pretty house with her sister, and about 2 weeks after receiving her new name, Maggie and Baruka were being tucked in and read to. Maggie had already drifted into Sleepyland. Just before they got their goodnight kiss, Baru worked up the courage to ask, Mommy, could I live here with yous? You don't want to move back and forth anymore, sweetheart? Nopes. I was my toddler twin sister and yous, can I please? Of course, sweetie. She leaned over and kissed her on the forehead. Sleep tight. Baruka slipped into comfortable sleep. During the night, magic worked as it had so many times before for the beautiful mama witch Shelley. Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access.